Welcome to Community Health Briefs, where AI hosts share short, clear stories about research shaping healthier futures. Each episode highlights new work from members of the College for Community Health at Montclair State University, showing how ideas connect to the social and structural forces behind health. In short, this is research you can trust, explained by AI in minutes.
So if you walk down the street today, you'd probably think, like, every teenager in America was vaping weed.
Right. Yeah, it really feels that way sometimes.
Exactly. I mean, it's all over TikTok, and dispensaries are popping up like neighborhood coffee shops. But the national data shows a massive plot twist. Usage is actually plummeting.
It is. It's a huge surprise for most people.
Yeah, so welcome. We're going to unpack how marijuana legalization actually affects teenage behavior and why correcting our societal assumptions is, critical for your community's health.
Right. And to do that, we are looking at some really fascinating research from two experts at Montclair State University.
Okay, who are we talking about?
So first, there's Dr. Joseph Donnelly. He's a professor of public health, and his work focuses on adolescent health behaviors and prevention strategies.
Got it.
And he co-authored this with Elena Saldutti, who is a certified New Jersey school psychologist and an instructional assistant at Montclair State. Her work centers on adolescent mental health and social emotional learning.
Okay, so let's unpack this. The core question they're asking here is pretty straightforward.
Yeah, very straightforward.
Does legalizing marijuana automatically mean more teenagers will use it? Because, my immediate assumption is yes.
Oh, absolutely. That's what most people think.
Right. If it's legal and highly visible everywhere you look, usage must just be skyrocketing.
Well, that's exactly the assumption they tested. And they didn't just rely on guesswork or, gut feelings.
Always a good thing in research.
Definitely. They actually analyzed 14 years of national survey data to track actual behavior. And here is where it gets really interesting.
Lay it on me.
So, past 30-day marijuana use among 8th graders actually dropped by nearly 47% between 2010 and 2024.
Wait, nearly half? That is wild.
Yeah, a massive drop.
But let me just push back on that for a second. Are kids actually using less? Or are they just, lying on national surveys?
Right, because it's still illegal for them.
Exactly. They know they're not supposed to be doing it, so why would they tell the truth?
It's a fair question, but these are highly validated, anonymous surveys designed specifically to account for that kind of underreporting.
Okay, so the drop is actually real.
The drop is very real. And the why comes down to a massive disconnect between adult visibility and teenage reality.
What do you mean by that?
Well, just because adults are buying it in stores and algorithms are pushing it online, it doesn't mean peer-level behavior has changed. Kids aren't suddenly flocking to it just because the legal environment did.
Okay, so if the number of kids smoking is dropping so drastically, why are public health officials still sounding the alarm? What's the real threat here?
The threat is what they are using. The landscape for the minority of kids who do partake has become, honestly, significantly more dangerous.
How so?
Well, think back to the 1990s. The average THC potency was around 4%.
Right, okay.
Today, we are seeing concentrates in vapes hitting 95% THC.
95%. Oh, wow. That is not a subtle shift at all.
No, not at all.
That is like trading a light beer for a bottle of Everclear.
That is precisely it. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, adolescence is a critical time for brain development.
For sure.
So you pair that extreme potency with digital media algorithms that glamorize use and throw in permissive parental attitudes.
Oh, you mean parents who might think it's harmless because they remember the 4% weed of their youth?
Exactly. So for the teens who are using, this structural shift significantly increases their risk of severe depression, anxiety, and dependency.
Okay, wow. So how do we actually use this information?
That's the big question.
Because clearly, the old just say no fear tactics aren't going to work, especially if most kids aren't even doing it anyway.
They really aren't working.
Yeah.
We need to advocate for state-level regulations on THC potency and advertising, of course.
Right.
But most importantly, we have to change the narrative. We need to have open, fact-based conversations with teens.
So moving away from the scare tactics.
Exactly. Data from the Monitoring the Future survey shows a near 50% decrease in use among middle schoolers over the last 15 years.
That's incredible.
It is. The narrative that everyone is doing it is entirely inaccurate.
And that false narrative is the real danger, right? Like the FOMO.
Yes, the fear of missing out is huge here.
When kids constantly see vapes on TikTok, they assume all their friends are getting high. And that creates this massive artificial peer pressure.
Exactly. Adolescents who believe substance use is widespread feel immense pressure to engage in it themselves just to fit in.
Makes sense. It's human nature.
Right. But when we tell them, hey, most kids are actually passing on this, it shatters that peer pressure. Correcting these misperceptions has to be the central focus of our health education.
Wow. Yeah.
Yes, potency and access are serious concerns, but we need to reinforce the accurate, positive norm, which is that most adolescents are making the choice not to use.
So by just telling them the truth, that like 6 out of 7 high school seniors aren't using, you kill the FOMO with facts.
You really do.
That completely flips the script on what we expected to find,
All right.
which leaves you with a pretty big question to ponder.
Yeah, definitely.
If our obvious assumptions about teens and marijuana are this disconnected from reality, what other cultural narratives about youth behavior are we getting completely wrong just because of social media noise?
Thanks for listening to Community Health Briefs. This podcast was created with the help of AI, verified by the paper's author, and does not necessarily reflect the views of the College for Community Health or Montclair State University. Thanks again for listening, and stay tuned for our next episode. Make sure to subscribe and check us out at www.montclair.edu/CCHL to learn more about us and the amazing work we're doing for community health.